Hey everyone, it's Shay Seeking again, and I want to welcome you back to the channel. We are in another episode, I guess, of This Is Not Your Mama's Bible Study, and we're looking at Genesis. Um, Let me see, I'm trying to put something together here where I can be a little bit more on time. So let me go ahead and start this timer. We might go a little bit over, but I'm trying to stay on track. So now we're in Genesis 3 finally. And I'm going to do this first verse a little bit different than before I go into the whole thing, right? Because we just need to get a couple things, you know, in our understanding or understanding before we go any further. So we're in Genesis chapter 3, verse 1. And I'm going to read it from the Living Bible first. We're going to do a couple definitions and we're going to read it from the King James Version. So it says, the serpent was the craftiest of all the creatures. Now remember, these are just the things that were created. Okay. So, so obviously to me, this is stating that, okay, this does two things for me. Okay. Because we're going to use beast. Let's just read them both. The serpent was the craftiest of all the creatures the Lord God had made. So again, God had made the things in the beginning, right? So when we're talking about Genesis 1 and chapter 1, and I think we go a little bit into 2, if I'm not mistaken, but once we get into 2, it turns into the Lord God. And the words are not mixed. The whole time it said God made this, God made that, and he made a man in his own image, male and female, and he made them, and he made this, and he made the darkness bring forth lightness and all this other stuff, right? Then you go into another form of a creation to me, into 2, I think a little bit of 2, chapter 2, and then going into 3, and then the Lord God shows up and he takes dust from the ground. So what that makes me think is he takes something from whatever has come from the ground, okay, to create his man that he wants to put in the east of the garden. So this is talking about two different deities. You can go ahead and read it if you want on your own. I'm just going, like I said, this is my favorite Bible. It's the only one that puts things in this context, and sometimes it even gives dates, dude. I love this Bible, okay? But I love that it has the King James too, because so many people are stuck in that King James, and that's exactly where they want you to, because it's the trickiest. It is the trickiest one to break down, and especially if you're reading on the surface, then forget about it. Forget. Okay, so the serpent was the crafty of all the creatures the Lord God had made. So this is the Lord God that's in chapter 2. I think 2. Yeah, in chapter maybe the end of 1 and 2. Or it might just be in 2. Let's just go back and look. This is where I get sidetracked. So let's see. God created this. God saw it was good. God did this. And those were the generations of the heavens and the earth when they were created in the day the Lord God made them. But that don't make no sense to me. Okay. Oh, okay. Wait a minute. So as soon as we go into 2, okay, so it says, now at last the heavens were completed and finished, and God's task was done, and he rested. Okay, wait a minute. So the heavens and the earth were finished, and all of the host of them. And on the seventh day, God ended his work which he had made, and he rested. So God rested. Dude, listen. He created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him, male and female. He created them. And one of my Bibles say he created them and he called them Adam. So these are little clues, little additions. That's my other favorite Bible, and I haven't picked her up in a while, but I think I might pull her out. So when we do these studies, we can have all 3. So it says, okay, and every creeping thing on the earth. Okay, so he made them in his own image. He created them and blessed them and said, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth and subdue it and have dominion over the fish of the sea. So the foreigners, these are all foreigners or aliens. The fish of the sea, the fowl of the air, and other living things that moveth on the earth. Okay, so anything else that's coming up, sprouting from the earth or whatever. And God said, behold, I have given you every seed or whatever, and this and that. Okay, so maybe he's even talking to the Lord God. Because I'm just wanted to put out that, yeah, in the first chapter, it's all talking about God. It's just saying God. I don't see one Lord God. Okay? I don't see one Lord God. But he's talking to somebody, okay? Because some of the books say Elohim. So that's plural. That would mean plural gods or whatever. So he might be talking to somebody because then he wanted to go ahead and rest. Okay? And God saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. And in the evening and the morning was the sixth day. So that God was done basically in the sixth day. And then he chose to rest in the seventh day. Okay? And that God, and that's why I was trying to tell you when it kept talking about the earth and stuff. And then if we're in the sixth day, and if we're in the 1600s, and especially in the beginning, some things had changed, for colored Indians or whatever around that time. And then you have your so-called Africans that so-called started coming in around that time. So that's just kind of, puts things in perspective for me a little bit. But then as soon as we go into 2, then, and I think they sneakily kind of did this. So it said all of his work he made, and God blessed on the seventh day and called it, sanctified it, because in that day he had to rest from the work that he had created. These are, that he had created. Now, I think that this is a division right here. And then we go into it and said, these, are the generations of the heaven and earth when they were created in the day the Lord God made them, made the earth and the heavens. Okay. And it says, in every other plant of the field before it was in the earth, and every herb of the field before it grew, and the Lord God had not caused it to rain upon the earth. And there was not a man to till the ground. So now this kind of confuses me a little bit. I think I'm following along with it, but I don't know. I had to get deep into that. I had to go from Genesis 1 and 27, and I have to do some deep study going into 2 and 6, I think. Okay. So, in the midst of the ground, but there went up a mist from the earth, and da-da-da-da. And the Lord God formed a man of the dust. So now it's the Lord God's turn, because the other one is done. The other God is, he stopped or whatever. And so this is a different one, and his name is the Lord God, right? And this have to be a separation. It has to be a separation, because nobody was talking about the Lord God in Genesis, even in Genesis 2 up until 3. They were still talking about God. And then now that it says these are the generations of that means that they're probably about to start telling you about them, because the Lord God. And then now we change into talking about the Lord God. I wish I could put the book up on the screen for you guys, but I can't. So yeah, anyways, we're wasting too much time with that. So we're going to go ahead and go back. Okay. So again, this is not talking about, so the serpent was created by the Lord God. It had to be an offspring of something that he created. Okay. Let's see. He took from the dust and formed a man. Okay. So the serpent has to be a part of what the Lord God created. Okay. Not God, but the Lord God had made. So the serpent came to the woman and, came to the woman. Really? He asked. None of the fruit of the garden? Question mark. God said you mustn't eat of it. Okay. So I think that they're trying to trick you up, because that book that I was just telling you about, it says it differently. And it looks like it looks like the woe man. Okay. Because if you already know her name is Eve when you're telling the story and you're writing it, why wouldn't you just go ahead and put that her name was Eve? So I think that we're getting confused that there was a lot more people present in these conversations that we think. Okay. So the serpent was the craftiest of all the creatures that the Lord God. So this is the second creation that was formed. The other one, God just made him in his own image, in the image God, he made him. Okay, so the Lord God had made the serpent came to the woman and asked, really? This is what I'm getting, okay? And asked, really? He asked, none of the fruit of the garden? And she said, or the woman said, God said, you can't eat of it. Okay? And oh man, where's that book? Where's that Bible? I think I just put them all in this thing. Here it is. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Oh, poor baby. She's been through a lot. Let's see. Okay. And he created him in his own. He created them. Okay. Him. He created him, male and female. He created them. And he said, be fruitful and multiply. Okay. And then, let's see. So, okay. And then now we're talking about the Lord God formed a man and breathed the breath of life. And he became a living soul. And let's see. And the land, okay. Let's see. It's not good for a man to be alone. Adam. Wait, where are we at? 3 and 1. So let's see if I go in 3 and 1. Okay, here we go. So it says, the serpent's craft, the fall of our first parents, their punishment, and the promise of a redeemer. Okay, so the fall of the first man. I don't know what the first man did wrong, but I don't know about that seed. What did he do? So anyways, now the serpent was more subtle than any of the beasts of the earth. Okay? Which the Lord God had made. Okay? Which the Lord God had made. So these are the creatures that were made upon the earth or made spring from the earth. Okay? And he said to the woman, why has God commanded you that you should not eat of every tree in paradise? Okay? And the woman answered him, saying, of the fruit of the trees that are in the paradise we do eat. But of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of paradise, God hath commanded us that we should not eat, and that we should not touch it, lest perhaps we die. Okay? And the serpent said to the woman, no, you shall not die the death, for God does know that in what day soever you shall eat thereof, your eyes shall be open, and you shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. And the woman saw that the tree was good to eat and fair to the eyes, and okay. So, anyways, so the fact that we're saying the woman saw the tree was good, she had to already have her eyes open. So we're talking about something else. When we go back to Genesis 3, chapter 5, for God doth know that in the day soever you shall eat thereof, your eyes shall be open, and you shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. And the woman saw the tree was good. So how can she see that the tree was good if she couldn't see, if her eyes was closed? So we know that there must be talking about something else. Do you get what I'm saying? Okay. And then she didn't also see that it was good to eat. She saw that it was fair to the eyes, and delightful to behold. She took of the fruit thereof and did eat. And how can she take something if she can't see? I mean, I guess there's a way, but again, and gave to her husband eat, um, who did eat. So I don't know. And she took of the fruit thereof and did eat, and gave to her husband who did eat. I don't know why you couldn't just say who ate too. And the eyes of them both were open. And when they perceived themselves to be naked, they they sewed together fig leaves and made themselves aprons. Again, I don't know, but I was looking at what does this fig thing have to do with symbolism of certain secret societies, and we do know that certain secret societies do wear those aprons. I'm just saying. Okay, so again, and you shall be okay. So there we go with that. So it didn't say what I said. Maybe it's another Bible, but I know that. Well, anyways, it says it here. You know, it says it here. That God said you mustn't eat of it. So this might be the closest that I'm gonna get to showing you guys that it kind of sounds like she's saying, God said you mustn't eat of it. So that's basically saying, hey, no. He said, really, really? He asks, none of the fruit of the garden. And she says, God says you mustn't eat of it. Okay? So this is already separation, division, reservation, preservation, whatever you're looking at right there. Okay? And then it says, okay, so let's just go ahead and go through it again. I'm sorry. I just want to drill this in. The serpent was the craftiest of all the creatures that the Lord God made. So that's what was created in chapter 2. Okay? When he formed a man, not when he made him in his own image. Okay? Because that was God that did, the God person that did that. So the serpent came to the woman. Really, he asked, none of the fruit of the garden? And she said, God said, you mustn't eat of it. Of course, we may eat it. The woman told him. Okay, so this was the book. See, I didn't went and got that book for no reason. But we did find some more key factors in that book too. So yeah, she said, of course we can eat it. You just can't. So, I don't know. Okay, I don't know. And now even my memory is being jogged to the Mississippian culture that was one of the last ones to be dismantled. Okay, and I'm thinking that happened. I might be mistaken, but in the 1600s. I might be mistaken, but I think it was in the late 15 or early 1600s when they finally dismantled that culture. And I'm thinking it's not the middle of the garden if we want to look at the east being somewhere between Maryland and Virginia. That might be where a White House might be sitting. And then if we want to go ahead across and we want to look at the Mississippi River, and if we want to look at the Midwest, okay, so still the middle but west. Okay, so if we want to look at that portion, I don't know. Or are we looking at a different portion? I don't know. For some reason, when I look at Native American culture and I'm going to the west, it just seems like the Hopi tribe has been pretty much supposedly untouched, and they have these prophecies and they have all these other things. But still, I'm not 100% sure if that's the middle. Because it says the fruit of the. Okay, I'm sorry. Let me slow down. The woman told him it's only the fruit from the tree at the center of the garden that they are not supposed to eat from. So they can eat of it and they can eat of these, but for them, it's only the one in the middle of the garden. So she didn't say it's the one of good and evil or whatever else. Okay. So it's kind of confusing, but once you go, and that's why I keep reading them back and forth to you guys like this, because it's very important to do that. Subtract, add, do what you need to do in order to get something close to the truth, okay? Or what we would consider maybe getting us closer to something that is tangible, okay? So yeah. Um so I'm gonna just go ahead and read this, and then we're gonna look at serpent and we're gonna look at eat, okay, and etymology. So the serpent, which was the craftiest of all the creatures in the Lord God had made, okay, that's the Lord God, not God. So the serpent came to the woman. Really, he asked, none of the fruit of the garden, okay. So somebody must have told the serpent that he can't eat nothing. I'm just thinking. I don't know. I'm just thinking off the top of my head. So so he said, came to the woman and said, really? He asked, none of the fruit of the garden? And she said, God said, you mustn't eat of it. So she asked him, you mustn't eat of it? Because there's a question mark, actually. So he's asking none of the fruit of the garden, question mark. No, first he said, really? Question mark. None of the fruit of the garden, question mark. God said you mustn't eat of it, eat any of it, question mark. And then, okay, okay, this is still tricky. Of course, we may eat of it. Okay, so now she's probably um answering his question. Okay, yeah, she's answering his question now. So she said, oh, God said you can't eat of it? And then she said, of course we can eat of it, the woman told him. Okay. It's only the fruit from the tree of the center of the garden that we are not supposed to eat. Okay. And God says, okay, that we mustn't eat. God says we mustn't eat it or even touch it, or we will die. And I'm guessing somebody said, okay, we'll see. Okay, the serpent. So it said, and then that's a lie! Exclamation mark. I mean, exclamation mark. Um, the serpent hissed, okay, you'll not die. God knows very well that the instant you eat of it, you will become like him. Okay. So that God didn't want the serpent, didn't want the woman to eat of the garden, because then she would end up being like him. Okay. For your eyes will be opened. You will be able to distinguish from good and evil. Okay. The woman was convinced. How lovely and fresh looking it was. Okay. And it would make her so wise. Again, I'm just reading it. So she ate from the fruit and gave some to her husband. Okay. Again, what are we talking about when we're talking about ate or eat? Okay. Because some of these things say that they made it for food. Okay. So some of the fruit and gave it to her husband, and he ate it too. And they ate, and so they ate it. So who ate it? Everybody that they was included, they homies ate it too. I don't know, because you just said and he ate it too. So now we know that the woman and her husband, okay, which could just be the person that she is um uh, a property of, okay. It could be her and the person that she is a property of, or she was stolen and made a wife of one of these people that didn't, like Pocahontas story kind of, they say it is how it is, but I just wonder sometimes, were there other women that didn't want to go with these people and had to go with them? But we're going too far off the thing or whatever. So okay, she gave some to her husband. It never said Adam. It never said Eve. It never said nothing like that. It's just saying her husband, and he ate it too. And so they ate it. Okay, so who ate it? That's what I'm saying. So who all? The serpent too? The serpent ate it too? And the woman and her husband? I don't know. Suddenly they became aware of their nakedness and were ashamed, and they strung fig leaves together to cover themselves around the hips. Okay. So I'm just saying, even though, and I always still think about the blackmail and all the stuff that I think goes along with these politicians, that if they don't do certain things or play certain roles, then they can be embarrassed or something can be put out about them that they rather people not know. Just my opinion. And I think that that's the dirty game that's been played on people for so long, to get these people to actually go against what they believe in and do something that they would rather not do. Okay, that evening they heard the sound of the Lord God walking in the garden, and they hid themselves among the trees. And the Lord God called to Adam, "Where are you why are you hiding?" Okay, and Adam replied, "I heard you coming, and I didn't want you to see me naked, so I hid." Okay. So let me see. Okay, so now we're going to do 3 in the King James. Now the serpent was the most subtle of any beast of the field, and the Lord God had formed had made, and he said unto the woman, Yea, hath God said, Ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden? Question mark. And the woman said unto the serpent, We may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God hath said, Ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch of it, lest you will die. And the serpent said unto the woman, Ye shall not surely die. Okay, and the serpent said to the woman, ye shall not surely die. And somebody says, For God doth know that in the days ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be open, and ye shall be, okay, your eyes will be open, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired, to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat. And the eyes of both of them were open, and they knew that they were naked, and they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves aprons. And they heard the voice of the Lord God walking in the garden in the cool of the day. And Adam and his wife, okay, hid themselves from the presence of the Lord God amongst the trees of the garden. So what are we talking about? So they hid themselves amongst the trees of the garden. That doesn't necessarily mean a tree to me. That can mean a family tree. That can mean the structured, stronger part of the earth that grew, that's been there longer or more solid. You know what I'm saying? That could mean something else. Just like how they say that slaves, so-called, ran away to Indian tribes and hid. Well, they would have had to look like them some kind of way to be able to hide. But again, I digress. And the Lord God called unto Adam and said unto him, Where art thou? Okay. And he said, I heard thy voice in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked and I hid myself. Okay. So there we go. Now we're gonna go over a couple minutes like usual, but we're doing a little bit better. So the serpent, 1300s, limbless reptile, also the tempter in Genesis. Okay, 3. Okay, serpent, snake. You notice that it's not Satan or the devil yet. I mean, I don't know if that's going to happen, but a snake, a serpent. And then also I start thinking about Asian, and I just use that as a general term. Okay, how they have this serpent, how they have the dragon, serpent dragon looking thing that they you know do what they do with. So from the Latin serpentine, snake creeping thing. Again, here we go with that creeping thing. Something that slowly moves upon and mimics or whatever and whatever. So I'm just saying, are we talking about the Asiatic or Oriental or whatever version of the American Indian or Native American? Okay. So also the name of the constellation from the present particular serpier to creep or crawl. Okay. And I think in one of these books it says it was the oldest, not just the craftiest and stuff, but the oldest. And so that's the thing. You have to get herbs and weeds and little sprickets of something um before you can okay, before you can get anything else. You know what I'm saying? So they would have been there if you're gonna say the ground and then one that sprung from the ground, then you would have that would have to be, I don't know. That's just the way that I'm thinking off the top of my head. Okay, so anyways, Seraphim or Serapha. That reminds me even of the Sarah, children of Sarah or Saracens. To creep, serpent, okay, figuratively spiral or regularly sinuous, uh, search as a typical musical instrument, figurative, venomous, stinging speech is from mistaken medieval notion that the serpent tongue was sting, also was a name given to a fossil shark tooth. 1600s, twisting, winding, an earlier adjective meaning having the evil qualities of a serpent. Okay. Oh, there were serpent people here too. Actually, when I think about that, there were serpent people here too. If you want to start going into like, I don't know if it's the Mayan, Aztec, South American cultures and stuff like that. Um, there's serpent stuff too. Okay, here. Now that I'm thinking about it, it was recorded in late 14th century from the French source of serpentine. Mm, let's see something. Mm, mm, second day, third day. Mm, okay, let's see. The fifth day. So yeah, in the fifth day, we did talk about and let the earth bring forth the living creature after his kind, cattle and creeping thing, and the beast. Okay, so the creeping thing. So like again, we go back to that whole thing about the creeping thing. Okay, study of reptiles is herpetology. Serpentine plant. Okay, serpentine, 1400s, plant reputed to contain anti venom. Hmm. I don't know. I don't know. This is just making me think about what we were just reading and what were they really eating from or doing something from. And if you think about the ancients, and I'm pretty sure they had rituals and they had different things where they could probably get bit by snakes and then heal themselves and then if you think about like aphrodisiacs or things that they may have taken to go into a different realm. So I don't know. I don't know. That's just I don't know. Um Meaning snake or snake-like, sly, deceptive. And then that's the thing, who deceptive to who? Deceptive to who? Okay. And then we also think about the fact that reptiles or whatever can sometimes, I think, be androgynous as well. An inflammatory spreading of skin condition is herpes. Oh. A spreading skin eruption, a name, disease, shingles, creeping, moving slowly, to creep, snake. Okay, we're just gonna go crawl. Poisonous, meaning treacherous person, foul, hateful, snake eyes, poisonous, Ophidian, pertain to snakes, Greek, serpent, serpent worship. Okay, it'd be cool to look into this. Naga, they remind me of Nagas or the Nagas people. In Hindu mythology, a race of serpent demons, offsprings of Kaduru, guardians of the under region. I don't know. 1780, Nagas, serpent snake. Okay. Oh, Quetzalcoatl. I swear to God, I was just thinking Quetzalcoatl or Quetzal. Yeah. When I was talking about the ancient. Oh, well, I said it, and I was gonna say the name, but I didn't. So, but I'm glad it's here. The plumed serpent, and then we talking about plumed. Are we talking about those feathers that came from that bird that they used to wear back in the ancients? That I think the bird is extinct now. Some kind of dodo bird or something that had the feathers. Serpent god of the Toltecs, Aztecs. Okay, there we go. So that's what I'm looking for. So who are we really talking about? And who are the oldest then? Who sprung from the oldest? I don't know. I don't know. I think I didn't say it because I thought I was going to pronounce it wrong. So then we're going to go into, what did I say? Serpent and eat. Or let's do food and then eat. Nourishment, fuel, energy, huh? Who's their energy? And when they sit here and put all these things on TV and try to get you all in your emotions and all riled up, you can't think straight. You are the energy that fuels this thing, and without you, there's nothing. So what they're gonna do is end up coming. Okay, so anyways, to feed. Okay, food chain, uh, food stamp, food something, food for a pet. Oh, wait, fish food, food for a pet. Okay, foodaholic, foodie. Okay, food stuff, seafood. Pa is a form of parts of anti whatever to protect, feed. Okay, let's see, fodder, food, fodder, feed, graze, pasture, pastor. What I always say, you didn't let these pastors lead the shepherds of what? They led the sheep, okay, to graze on these fine pastures, okay, and then for food, okay. So what were you doing? Feeding what? For food, feeding mimes, maybe. I don't know. Old Church Slavic. There's your slaves right there. Slavnik. Feed, cattle, pasture. These are the cattle we talking about in the beginning. So again, nourishment. Just saying. Let's see any other ones we can use. So food, or let's just say eat. Strong verb, past tense, to consume food, devour. Again, devour, eat or devour. They could have used devour, but then you would be afraid of this God and you will be able to see straight through it right away. So, hey, maybe they just used eat instead of devour, consume. Who's the consumer? You are the consumers. You are the consumers still to this day. Transferred sense of cord, wear, away. Oh, corrode. Okay, to corrode. I would think that's what they did. To wear away. Are you worn out? Mm-hmm. Consume, waste is from 1550s, meaning to preoccupy, engross. And then again, when we go back to the fifth day, what was going on? What was going on? To have dominion and subdue and consume. right? So what are we really talking about? What are we really talking about? Retract, take back, one who has uttered, eat your hearts out. Okay, this is all the stuff. Eat a tree, ate, eaten. Okay. Late, edible. Okay, eater, one who eats, especially a servant or a retainer, an agent, noun from eat. 17th century. Are we out of the seventh day or in it somewhere? I think we might be. In compound with various objects or substances eaten. Okay, anteater, South American species. Overeat or aristology, science of dining, breakfast, meal, morning, to eat, originally to bite. Okay, to eat, I eat, Slavic, to eat, I eat. Okay, to eat. So anyway, it goes. There we go, guys. We're gonna go ahead and move on to the next one. After this, that was just a quick breakdown of just the first thing, and that's what I'm saying. It took them so long to get us out of this mindset of studying. It's going to take a long time to start looking at the word again and bringing it back to reality. So if you have time, these videos are not for everybody. You know what I'm saying? But I want to thank the couple of people that are coming back to support the channel. And I want to thank you for your time. And again, let me know what you think. Comment. You can subscribe if you like. Um, or you can just go ahead and give me a thumbs up so I know that somebody's out there listening. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.